Welcome to Coach on the Couch. I'm your host, Jason Zaleski, here at Stevens Point Area Senior High School today, visiting with girls basketball coach Janel McCarville. Coach, thanks for spending time today. Before we get started on this year's version of Panthers basketball, let's just remind the folks what you've been up to for the last 20-ish years. Of course, you went to school here, played basketball here. Kind of take us from there on, after leaving Stevens Point High School and then going to college. Talk about the University of Minnesota.
Yes, after graduating SPASH, I went to the University of Minnesota in 2001 to 2005. Had a great career, enjoyed my time to the fullest, had a couple great coaches that gave me the knowledge and some aptitude in life and just a great outlook. Experienced the Final Four with this club or this team, and from there I was drafted into the WNBA as the number one pick in 2005 to the Charlotte Sting. Michael Jordan took over in my middle of my first year, and in the second year we became defunct. Then I was drafted to the New York Liberty, where I spent another 5 years before sitting out a few years because of a differential idea between myself and the coach and management. And then I was traded to the Minnesota Lynx, where I won my one and only WNBA championship in 2013, only to retire, I think, 4 years later.
Yeah, excellent. Well, it was a great career to watch from the outside. I'm sure when you came back home, had a lot of compliments and all that type of thing. What are maybe one or two of those things or lessons about being a basketball player and being a person that you learned that maybe you want to kind of take to some of these girls on this year's Panthers basketball team?
Well, sports in general is great for team building, understanding yourself, learning about yourself, learning how to work in a group, and trusting the people around you. And at a young age, even now for girls in this age group, it's kind of hard to put yourself out there. So hopefully we're gaining confidence collectively, individually, and as a group leading up into the season. And again, it's just the process that will continue to grow throughout the year and carry over through into their working careers after this.
So high school basketball player, college student athlete, professional basketball player, and now high school basketball coach. So tell us about that. And obviously you've got the skills and the knowledge to hold this position, but what about the high school game brought you back?
Well, in 2018 I was playing in Sweden, and I decided to try coaching then. So I became the coach of a 14, 15-year-old team and followed them for the next 3 years and developed them. I liked it and did a good enough job that they promoted me. So then I was a player and assistant on the team that I was at. And, I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed giving back. I know I can't play forever. I couldn't play forever. Unfortunately, injuries took its toll with me and my body. So at some point I had to step aside. And the way to stay in the game for me, I thought, was coaching.
Tell us about the first couple weeks of practice and what that was like coming back here to Stevens Point High School, and then getting to meet another group of girls that you can help, as we talked about already, kind of guide their life a little bit. Tell us about those first couple weeks of practice.
It's a learning process for everybody, them and myself. Expectations are high. I think they're coming off a Wisconsin Valley Conference championship season. Lost 4 seniors, 4 starters. So it's a rebuilding phase for us in a way, and growth at the same time, because I'm implementing so many things that they haven't seen or heard of or even understand at the moment. But when it all pieces together, I think they will become a really strong team. We will become a strong team. And again, these skills that they're learning from me now will also carry over into the real world as well.
Let's talk about that a little bit, your philosophy with the high school game, because obviously you've seen a lot of things, a lot of schemes, a lot of different things. How do you go about that process of picking from your experiences and then deploying it onto the high school basketball floor?
It's hard. I think, I'm just getting my feet wet in terms of understanding what they can and cannot do. But, they're very open, they're very receptive, they're very coachable. They want to play their best, and it's hard because some things are new. And stepping out of your comfort zone is not the easiest. Again, for teenagers, it's even harder. So just getting them to buy into the system and believe in the person standing next to them and the one directing them, and myself. And we've seen progress in the first 3 weeks of practice, and I'm hopeful and optimistic for how the season will turn out for us.
A lot of times in a high school basketball game, the senior leadership is important because at practice or during the game, they're able to kind of accept your thoughts maybe a little bit better, and then convey them to the rest of the girls. What kind of expectations do you have on the seniors on this team?
Well, we have one senior. Her name is Abby Josie.
Mm-hmm.
She's coming off of an injury last year, so she wasn't able to play. So I'm leaning on her and my two returning juniors, Adelia Nest and Lindsay Weiler, who are also getting time at varsity last year. But it's us three that are kind of paving the way with a talented young group that is eager to learn and get in line and follow and develop, because I think they understand what they have with me as a coach and the opportunity that's at hand, and a lot of them are jumping at it.
Early in the season, from a coach's perspective, you might like to be able to just sit down and let your team go. What's one aspect of this team, whether that be defense or shooting or whatever it might be, that when this is happening, you think they've kind of got this part figured out?
Well, I'm still waiting for something in that area to click. But no, defensively, I've seen things defensively look really, really well. Different schemes, on ball pick and rolls, zones, and again 10, 11 practices deep. It's hard to get all that in there, so it's kind of learn on the fly in games. I'll throw things at them, put them in something mid-game, and just say, okay, this is what it looks like. Guard this, do this. If this happens, try this. And again, learning process in a short amount of time with practice. Got to get it in somehow, and sometimes that's games.
Defense, maybe early in the season, is it that unusual? Maybe that the defense is kind of out in front right now.
Well, it hasn't been a focus, but at the same time, it's coming to the forefront. We're giving up too many easy buckets. A lot of it's in transition. So again, we're more offensive focused and driven to rebound even out of position and take ourselves even more out of position for transition defense. So again, it's just learning process with the young girls and trying to get everybody on the same page to understand when, where, what, and why we do things.
Let's talk about the conference season a little bit. I would assume conference championship, those things are on a short list of goals that you and the girls have made. What kind of emphasis do you put on that? And where do you see your team, come conference time?
Well, we're conference champs until we're not. So in my mind, there's a target on our back. I think there's talented teams in the Wisconsin Valley. I think Marshfield's up there. They got a great core, great coach, and they've done tremendous through the years. So of course they're in the running. But our non-conference schedule is hopefully preparing us for a tough conference season, and I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to seeing what we have again in the Valley.
Non-conference schedule that has a couple things that you can accomplish with that. One, you can obviously prepare yourself for that. Computerized seating also cares a lot about your non-cons. You can't choose your conference schedule, but that non-con can have a lot to say later on. So how do you and the girls talk about these kind of opening games in that preparation mode?
Well, we haven't really talked too much about postseason or what's to come at the end of the year. It's more really just approach the game at hand. The next game is the most important game of the season simply because it's the next game. But a lot of the preparation in these non-conference games are for the the sectional and end of the season tournament, because that's when games matter. You face teams, higher quality teams and better teams from around the state. So again, this is preparation for that. We think we're tough in the Valley. We know we're going to get everybody's best on every night. So that's about.
Yeah. Let's. You mentioned a couple names, and again, I'll caution you, if you want to skip on this one, you certainly can, because once we name some names and we might forget some, they're going to come after you, not me.
Right.
Well, who are maybe one or two of those girls that you've seen practice, you've seen a couple games now, that we all might learn more about as the season goes on? Perhaps they're off the radar now, but who are maybe one or two that you really think have a chance to ascend as the season moves forward?
Well, other than the three I mentioned, everybody else is going to be an underclassman, sophomore, freshman. Last year I coached a couple good girls on the JV team that are up on varsity now. Ellie Strong, I expect a good season out of her. She's understanding a little bit more what's expected of her, growing into her role really well. Lydia Johnson is another one, really long and lean, athletic player that has, again, come into her own as a sophomore. And then we have another ninth grader, Jada Soybert, up and coming, very offensive-minded, really good defensive player as well. Ninth grader, but still has tremendous upside and a lot to learn, but will contribute highly for this team.
Tell us a little bit about offensive philosophy. The analytics have taken over, and perhaps they're right, but layups and three-pointers. So tell us about offensive philosophy for your team.
Well, it's a lot of read and react. I'm talking to them about certain plays with 3 out, 2 in offenses, 4 out, 1 in. But again, I'm trying to teach them their guidelines, not rules. It's more read and react. I'm just trying to give them all the assets they need and intangibles they need to make the reads and the right decisions. And then it's just going to come down to actual game time and experience behind it and understanding of when, where, again, and why we do things.
Last question about early season. We'll move on to something else. But early season, fans, friends, neighbors are here. They're watching these girls play. Say in those first 5 to 8 minutes, regardless of what it says on the scoreboard, how will folks know things are going according to Coach McCarville's plan today?
Getting shots up, talking to the team. It's very important to get shots rather than turnovers or deflections for the defensive team. But offensively, we're really looking to get up and run, get open shots. Anybody who's open is green light to shoot, and really just put pressure on the defense. Not sitting back, not on our heels, and not letting defense dictate. That's offensive minded. Defensive minded is we really want to try to dictate, and force teams to work out of their offense and really frustrate and make every possession as hard as possible for them.
Getting shots up tells me that if there was a shot clock in Wisconsin high school basketball, you wouldn't have any issues there. Thoughts on maybe a potential future state where there's a shot clock in high school basketball?
I think there should be a shot clock. Just overall, it's, it might be tough for some, but if we're trying to prepare these young women for the next level, that's shot clock. So I would like to see it. It's going to speed the game up. It's going to create a different flow. You're not going to have such long drag out offenses, and it's just a completely different aspect that we're not used to. So some might buck the system, but I think it's needed.
So, some are bucking the system. It teaches deadlines, right? And whether you're a student athlete at the next level or you're into the workforce or whatever it may be, it teaches lessons, deadlines, things like that, some urgency.
Because the way it is, if you, again, not to knock, but if you have 45 to a minute and a half to score, of course the defense is going to at some point make a mistake, and that's where a good team can capitalize, and they're going to punish you every single time. But if you can only play defense for 30 or 35 seconds, then yes, you can play defense every single possession with the hope of, all right, all we got to do is stay in our stance for this long, and then we're good. But with no shot clock, it's really wear the defense down and find that weakness and then exploit it.
Yeah, because currently we're doing this silly business about starting to foul with 5 minutes left in the game, and we'll move on from this because I could go on for hours about it. People already know that. Let's wrap it up with this. Home court advantage is a big deal. You know that through all kinds of things. So I'll give you the floor here to remind people to come out and watch your girls play and why it's so important to be in the gym and cheering these young teenagers on in person.
Absolutely. Just the local community, the support of the local fan base is awesome because exactly that. We're the biggest school in the area. We have a lot of draw. And again, the community is big for us. We want everybody here. I would love to have the student athletes playing in front of a big gym full. The atmosphere that it creates is tremendous for the girls, again, in the development and understanding of what's out there and what's next. And again, to show the product. We work hard, and the girls deserve to be seen. And, luckily we have great media services now, like you guys, and things that I didn't have in my age, but social media as well. Great for the girls, good exposure, and obviously local support is what we need.
There it is, right there. I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to play it about 100 times in 100 different places. Coach, best of luck this year. Thanks for spending time today.
Appreciate it.
That'll do it for this edition of Coach on the Couch. More coaches coming up next on Zaleski Sports.
After a couple years of a job that doesn't fit, it's time for more money, more opportunity. That is where Mid-State Technical College comes in. Would cooking be a good fit? Try on a career in welding. Perhaps the outdoors suits you better. Or maybe helping people is a better fit. No matter your path, we've got cutting-edge classes with field-trained professionals and better tuition options, making Mid-State the perfect fit.